Welcome to Yellow Tunnel. My name is Mark Carpel. I'm CEO and founder of Yellow Tunnel, and today we're going to have our weekly strategy roundtable discussion where we talk about current market conditions and answer any questions you might have about your subscription. Go through the exercise, what to expect short-term, long-term in the market. Before we begin, disclosures are important. If you're new to trading stock or options, I'm going to go through specific trade ideas and actually live positions. So I encourage you to visit optionscreening.com so you can understand the risk associated with trading stock or options. All right, so let's take a look at the market at SPX. So looking at our own model, if you look at the aggressive power trader on Yellow Tunnel, this is a model that runs every single day at night. Looks at the price action, provides you ability to make predictions for the trend and the range, right? So today Google is an uptrend market. Models provided the signal yesterday, today, basically saying that 203.76 consider a buy signal, 209.27 probably overbought. You want to trim the position, and then for spiders, the model predicted 639 to be support, 648 to be overhead resistance. Next 10 days basically doesn't see a lot of momentum to the upside. In the next few months, potentially we can get to 655 level in the next couple months. But that's basically what the model is telling you. Short term, next 10 days for today's session, what the overbought, oversold level, and what to expect, next 10 days, 1 month, and 3 months. All right, so we can revisit 620, 630 level. Right, last week's low was around 635, 630 on SPY. So model basically says we're going through a seasonality. Chuck, Vlad, no video, only audio. I do see screen is sharing and it is moving. So if you don't see the video, try to maybe minimize or maximize the video. Maybe it's hidden in some window, but it should be there. Let me know if other guys, if anybody else doesn't see the video. Jeff, welcome back. Linda, Mike, Phil, let me know if Tim, Wanda, can you guys see the video? Yes, okay, perfect. So Jack, this is maybe just reconnecting, that will work. So that's what the model sees, and you can provide similar analysis. Let's say you want to know what NVIDIA going into the earnings, right? What's the next 10 days? Or you can see NVIDIA is in strong uptrend. Model basically says NVIDIA continues in a strong uptrend, assuming earnings are not going to be disappointing. The trend continues. Chuck, welcome back. Let me know if the video is okay. But everybody else seems like the video is fine. I will wait for recording. Sorry about that, but yeah. If you can't see it, I'm not sure why. Maybe try faster internet connection, not sure. So that's AI analysis under quick navigation. You can go to aggressive power trader, enter any symbol, and the model will give you a prediction, and then you can see what our model sees the stocks, which stocks are in uptrend. So that's the model. Now I'm looking at the gamma exposure, positioning what other people are thinking. And this is, if our model is based on learning on price movement, earnings, and making prediction based on AI models, right? Kind of similar to our live chat, right? You can go to our live chat, sorry, and ask questions. Same thing, right? The model, this is the model that learns on our customer service tickets, our Q&A, our PDF files, and makes prediction and gives you an answer in terms of, based on the questions you're asking. In a similar fashion, this is the model that learns on earnings data, end of day prices, and makes prediction. This is not a model, but it basically gives you a view into where other people are placing their positions, right? Options, futures, right? Very large market. Options market has been increasing exponentially. Even though options are derivative of the stock, sometimes they actually influence the behavior of the underlying assets. So you can see SPX gamma flip 6400. Put wall is at 6400, basically saying that major support is at 6400, right? On SPX, this is cash settle index. This is where you can see that pop up $6 billion worth of position at 6400. So if you're a short-term aggressive trader, right, I would consider 6400 is kind of the line in the sand. Last week we broke through 6400 and we quickly got into 6300 last week, and we'll probably get a lot lower if Powell didn't sound so dovish, right? He kind of made a 180-degree turn and basically said that they're changing their view on policies and making the employment mandate more important than the inflation. They're concerned about employment more than they're concerned inflation, which was not something they said even 30 days ago. So that kind of saved the market, but you could see that market was choppy and very vulnerable. QQQ was at 50-day moving average. I mean, we have Bitcoin still dropping below 50-day moving average. So if you look, let's see, there is all. So let's look at the September expiration, which is not that far away, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks from now, and then October expiration, right? So if you look at September, October expiration, this is again data based on positioning, where people buying which strike price, which level in SPX, they're buying options and how much, what the position looks like. So you can see right now, the major call is at 6,500, right? I mean, there's still already positioning building at 6,600, but this is your resistance one, and then by September, October time period, we could get to 6,600, right? So scenario number one, we basically get to 6,600 and maybe even above, right? So that would be scenario number one. New all-time highs, strong NVIDIA earnings, which is coming out tomorrow after the close, right? And we are making new highs, 6,600 and above. The scenario number two, we're trading in a range, right? You can see last week low, right, is the main support, 6250, 6300, right? I think we got to 6350, but close enough. So that's scenario number two, right? We're trading in this range, somewhere between 6600 and 6300, right? That's scenario number two. And scenario number three, let's say unemployment data ticks up, or maybe CPI and PPI data ticks up in September. And then we're trading scenario number three, we're trading below 6,200, right? Below 6,200, below that one standard deviation move. So I encourage you to go through these through these rehearsal exercises before you place a trade, right? Kind of this positive rehearsal, negative rehearsal, very common technique, right? It's done in a lot of industries where there's a lot of uncertainty, whether it's, in the army, right? Or special intelligence operation, Navy SEALs, they go through these exercises. Doctors go through these exercises, lawyers, traders, anywhere where there is always elevated risk of uncertainty, right? And you don't know exactly what would be the outcome, right? But you need to prepare, right? You need to be prepared and consider all possible outcomes, right? So before you place a trade, every morning I go through this exercise and based on the time interval, right? I mean, this is September, October time frame, right? But I can change it to 2 days, right? I can go ahead and change it, just look what is expectation between now and, going into NVIDIA earnings, or between now and Friday, right? It will be a narrow range, but still you have to go through these three rehearsal exercises, right? So how many of you say one? Right, we're going to have strong NVIDIA earnings. Earnings in general, the season has been better than expected. I think around 11% of the companies, I think 40% of the companies raised their guidance, and I think their revenue growth was 11%, expectation was 4%. So the bar was set low, and I think a lot of companies actually beat and raised guidance. And we're going to lower interest rates, right? Fed already committed to lowering interest rates probably as early as September, right? I think 80 or 90% probability based on futures data that the interest rates will be lowered. And we already have tariff agreements, right? And if we don't, we have 90-day delay. And this is kind of a one-time price to pay. So we're heading higher, scenario number one. Scenario number two, we could have like mixed signals, like we had, better than expected CPI, worse than expected PPI, and then we're trading in scenario number two between 6,600 and 6,200. Scenario number three, one data point is not enough, but if PPI is worse again and unemployment data is worse again in September, then people might be more, especially going into weeks from the seasonality point of view, weak time of the year, we're trading scenario number three. All right, Alex, welcome back. Alex, Carol, Jeff, Linda, Marjorie, welcome. Mike, Phil, Ronald, Tim, Wanda. We have a lot of new people. Say hello, just say yes. But let me know if you guys, what do you guys think? Scenario number one, scenario number two, scenario number three. Between now and, end of September, end of October, like going into the next earnings season. How many of you think it's one? How many of you think it's two? One or two. Very good. Anyone else? Linda, thank you. All right, so most of you answered two. I agree. I'm going to go with two as well. I think market is going to be choppy, volatile, but I think last week low is probably here to stay. I mean, we could drop a little bit further, but I think scenario number three is probably only if we have signs of, a rise in unemployment or inflation, which is, not sure. Rate reduction, 0.3, 0.5. Jeff, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think 50 basis points rate cuts is low probability event, right? Low probability event. More likely, 25 basis points. So you said the other way around. So if it's 50 basis points, you think it's two. I actually think if it's 50 basis point cuts, I think it could, it's hard to say. You could be right, it could be two, could be one, right? Because you can interpret it that, Fed is stimulating the economy and Fed put works, don't trade against the Fed put. So that's scenario number one. Or scenario two, you might be interpreting that, Fed is sensing that there is already underneath the hood, right? There's already issues with the employment, and that's why they're cutting more aggressively, and then the market will pull back further. So, yeah, I agree with you, but for now it's a lower probability event. So I think scenario number two is where I'm going to go as well. So very important exercise. I encourage you to always do that. You can do the same exercise, right? Instead of September, if you're doing day trading, or let's say you're thinking about NVIDIA earnings, right? You can say, okay, NVIDIA earnings is tomorrow, right? Or Thursday and Friday, right? So what's the expectation right now in the market, Thursday and Friday, right? You can see 6,500, right? So as we approach 6,500, some people sell calls, right? There's 0 days till expiration, they would sell 6,500 calls, right? Or if it approaches 6,400, then you would sell 6,400 put. And if you're in the middle at 6,450, it's a flip of a coin, right? Tomorrow we could be at 6,500 or we could be at 6,400. But as you approach these levels, then these are your buy and sell zone, right? So, and then you go to this rehearsal exercise and help you determine how much exposure you can have in the market, because again, position size is the most important. And in all of our services, here you can actually see, suggestion is that if you're new to Yellow Tunnel, consider having 4 active positions at a time with maximum loss of 2.5%. And if you do short-term aggressive power trader, the signal is meant to be 1 to 2 days. You can hold it for a week or longer. If you're doing weekly power trader, it's a different model, optimized to make predictions for a longer period of time. but again, it's meant to be last 1 to 2 weeks. I mean, you can hold it for 3-4 weeks, but that's the idea of these signals, right? And this week, Delta Airline, Google, some of the signals that the model identify on weekly power trades. So that's risk management, right? And we do have tutorials. You can watch the tutorial. We have helpful guides. We have a trading plan. We have trading in volatility, short-term trading plan. So you can look at all of these video examples of different. You can find all of these guides on our website. Any questions so far? All right, so in terms of how do we help? Well, first of all, we do have live trading room. I encourage you to either participate in live trading room or watch the recordings of live trading room where you can actually see, if I trade any of these signals, right? If I trade Google or Delta Airline, you would go to orders or positions and you would actually see them, right? So Tesla, I have a Tesla position, right? And Tesla was one of the signals in weekly power trader, right? You can see the idea that this signal is getting published on Sunday, right? Each week on Sunday, then you would go Google, right? On Monday, right? This is Thursday. Let's see, Friday, Monday, right? So you would go in on Monday, you buy Google, and you can buy stock. I mean, if you like options, right? If you want leverage, you could go to option and Tesla here. You can buy October 29, 340 call, weekly options, or you can go into monthly expiration, September, depending on your style. And again, we're giving you guidelines. 346, Tesla is overbought, right? There's a lot of, we're talking about this in live trading room, that Tesla has a lot of overhead resistance at the 350 level, right? So that's why I'm trying to close the trade, and depending on your cost basis, you might want to consider closing. But 350 is a very large overhead resistance, and for now, Tesla was unable to break to the 350 level, right? So you get your guidelines in terms of overhead resistance. It shows, 10-day we're not going to break it. Eventually, in the next earnings cycle, model does see a breakout above 350, but that might not come, until the next earnings cycle. So these long-term predictions also help you make that decision. So that's weekly power trader. Again, weekly power trader signal gets generated every Sunday. The idea is, again, doesn't matter how long you hold position, you have 4 active positions, 2.5% account value at risk per position. Accuracy has been 75% using spreads. A lot of the trades I do are spreads, like you see here, right in the orders. This was a spread, actually deep in the money spread. But you can use stock, you can use options. So that's weekly power trader. And again, you can always go to dashboard. A lot of people ask this question, like we actually, in the dashboard, you can see all of the services we provide, right? We have getting started guide, we have webinars, one-on-one dedicated support, we have a blog, we have a chat bot, and then we have paid services. And you can cycle through them and actually see the difference between aggressive power trader, weekly power trader. You can watch my video explaining that. Next one is dynamic power trader, right? If you look at the dynamic power trader, this is actual, based on the signals that are generated, these are the positions that I have, right? So Delta Airline I haven't entered, but I have a position in JP Morgan, right? And if you want to see what my JP Morgan orders on positions, you can go in, type in JP Morgan. We finally fixed this integration. These are not hypothetical trades. These are real live trading, live trades. And then it basically shows you, my orders and my position in JP Morgan. Right? I'm trying to close the stock at 298.20. I'm trying to close an option at 560. So you can see my orders and position in JP Morgan. Right? And same thing, if I trade option spreads or stock, but you want to trade options, like you can use weekly options, right? Or you can go monthly options. it gives you different choices. But again, the idea is to use these markers, right? At 296, I think Tesla is getting into the overbought levels, right? Overbought levels. 293 would be a better entry point, right? At 296, you might want to, especially if you're short-term aggressive trader, you might want to, trim your position. In the next 3 months, model does see a breakout above 300, right? So, November, December, fine, we can get to the 325 level. But short-term, 296, 300, that might be, too fast, too fast. Any questions on the dynamic power trader? So you have orders, some of the stocks are, again, some of the positions are options, some of them are stock, right? Some of them are stock like Triple M, JP Morgan. Then we have earnings power trader. So we have obviously NVIDIA earnings this week, and we're gonna concentrate on NVIDIA earnings. We have CrowdStrike, NVIDIA, Alibaba, same thing. You would see under orders and under positions, some of the trades that I would do in orders and positions. Any questions? And in earnings power trader, usually I do spreads, either butterflies or spreads or condors. And the idea is to either sell premium, right? Sell out of the money premium, like we saw with spiders, selling out of the money options, or be long volatility for large move. Like this morning we discussed Okta, right? I mean, popular software package, security, authentication, but historically it has moved, 24%, 17%. So you can capitalize on these moves, right? You can look at what the street is expects right now. If you think it's going to be less than 11%, okay, then you sell volatility. But if you think it's going to be more than 11%, move like 24%, move 16%, and then you can, be long the volatility, right? And utilize spreads to take advantage of that setup. So that's earnings power trader. And we discussed that, and we have live trading room twice a day, right? First hour and the last hour for live trading room. And finally, profit accelerator is where you actually trade stocks, right? So, say similar names, same names, but just, this is more focused for people who trade stocks only. Any questions on the services? All right, so, in terms of opportunities, signals, let's look at weekly power trader for this week. So I like airlines, right? You can see jets in general are in strong uptrend, kind of a marginal breakout. We actually, again, 3 days in a row staying above breakout. I think it's a valid signal. Delta Airline was there. Alaskan Airline was a signal, I think, on Sunday. Continue to grind higher, outperforming the market. Google, I like Google. Out of the Magnificent Seven, probably short term, the most impressive, right? Kind of a one-way trade. So Google looks strong out of the Magnificent Seven. I like that signal. Some of the materials like MAS, right? Masca Corporation, strong uptrend. We talked about Triple M, shows a strong uptrend. We're kind of pulling back right now, but still in the uptrend. What else? Merck, Tesla. We talked about Tesla. I think Merck is also staying strong. All right. The most important is yield. 10-year yield is glued to 4.3. Right, we have a pullback, but no new signal. So as long as the interest rates are trading in the range, I think that's positive for the market. Dollar is weak, right? It continues to be oversold, but stable. That's works well for industrials, or emerging market is continue to trade higher. Industrials are doing well because of the weaker dollar. The only little area of concern is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is pulling back, right? So we spent already a few days below 50-day moving average. You have a divergence with QQQ, right? But I don't know if this divergence is going to last long. So short term, I would be careful. So in example of dynamic power trader, I still have a hedge, right? Not all of these positions are bullish. I do, if I see market overbought, which I think right now market is overbought, then, I would put on a QQQ spread. So I do have September. I'm hedging my position with the QQQ put spread. You can buy inverse ETF, but continue to kind of hedge your positions. All right, that's all I wanted to cover today. Any questions? Homework, I always say, in terms of books, you probably want to read books on trading or psychology. One of my favorite is Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow. I think for traders, or if you're dealing with uncertainty, I mean, Daniel Kahneman got Nobel Prize for this book, right? But the idea is that we make decisions, trading decisions, different modes, fast and slow. So I encourage you to keep a journal, write down a trading plan. We do have a one-on-one coaching program. You can always sign up for a coaching program. If you have financial and time commitment, then go into coaching. So it's a free 30-minute session with our coaching team that can talk about your background and see what fits well. And I would read, like, this is a great book where it shows you that based on your personality, you have a different ways you making trading decisions. Sometimes we make a snap decision and we react fast, right? Market moves, we make a decision. Sometimes it's more methodical, right? And gives a lot of examples. Again, winner of Nobel Prize in economics. If you haven't read this book, I would read something similar in this area. All right, any other questions? All right, guys, you were wonderful. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I appreciate a lot of people joined today. Same time, same place next week, 12 p.m. Chicago, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have NVIDIA earnings. I think we're going to get ready for the unemployment data next Friday. So we'll see if this choppy market continues. And I would keep an eye on Bitcoin and relationship between Bitcoin and QQQ. So far, it's been highly correlated, and that means it makes sense to hedge. All right, thank you very much, and have a great day.